Today we're making a traditional button closure called 太阳扣 or 菊花扣 in Chinese. If you're interested in these button closures, I have other videos you might want to take a look at. You can channel your inner Nara Smith and make bias strips from scratch or just use commercial bias tape. I'm using 0.25 inch wide bias tape from Joann's. To start, you're going to take your strip and measure about 26 inches. Cut the same length for your second color. Then press open both pieces. I generally like my strips for all the panko I make to be about 0.25 inches wide, so if you stitch following the first two lines, that will give you a 0.25 inch wide strip. Then trim the excess seam allowance off, cut the ends at a 45-degree angle before turning the strip inside out with your loop turner. I then press the strip and start measuring out the following measurements. Essentially, there are three sections, one for making the petals, one for making the knot, and one for making the center of the flower. To create the knot, you're going to take the section that is 7 inches long and find the midway point. That is where you are going to start making your first loop. Once you've created 2 loops, overlap the loops so that there are 3 rings. Take the left tail and cross it under the right, through the first ring from the top, through the second ring from the bottom, and then through the third ring from the top, making sure that the outside facing color stays consistent. Thread the same tail through the opening shown on screen, and thread the right tail through that same opening. Make sure that your left hand is holding tightly onto the tail ends so that the outside color is consistent with the outside color of your knot. A loop at the top should form, and that is where you want to tie a string so that the knot doesn't get uneven. To tighten the knot, simply rotate in a clockwise direction, pulling on one section to tighten the previous. Depending on how much you've tightened your knot, you might end up with excess at both ends. So here I am remarking my bias strip so that one side is still 4.5 inches and the other 13.5 inches. For the 13.5 inch section, I am making 13 marks 1 inch apart from each other. This will be for the petal section later on. I mark a 0.5 inch for seam allowance before trimming off any excess. We're going to start by working on the section that is 4.5 inches long, which is your flower center. Using tweezers, roll the section like so. Remove your tweezers and pinch it with your hands so it doesn't unravel. I like to have my needle already threaded prior so that I can grab it and start sewing. I start by securing with a couple of stitches in the back. I'm taking my needle and going from the top through all the layers to the middle, making sure to not pull too tightly. Because you're going through so many layers of fabric, having a thimble is very, very handy so you don't hurt yourself. I secure it in a circular motion like depicted. Another way to do this is to go sideways from the top through the layers. I do this for the loop side of the closure, as you'll see later on, but honestly, this will all be hidden once it's attached to your garment, so as long as it is secure, you are good. I then like to knot my thread and cut it, so that in case I mess up for the next step, it won't undo the work I did for this step. Just current me looking out for future me. For the next step, we are making folds with our 13.5 inch section. Take your newly threaded needle and push it from the middle to the very top and try to come out as close to the middle as possible. You are then going to wrap the needle to the right side. Then insert your needle through the middle so it ends up in the back. Create your first pleat, wrap the thread to the front, and bring your needle to the back. Create your second pleat, wrap the thread to the front, and bring your needle to the back. You keep doing this until you get all the way to the end. You can choose whatever size you want your folds to be and the number that you want. I personally like the look of 13 of them. I marked 1 inch sections so that once they're folded, they all end up 0.5 inches long. Once you've reached the end, I like to secure the seam allowance bit so that nothing shifts before wrapping it to the back and securing it down with a couple of stitches. For this portion, you are going to need a strip that is 20 inches long. You are going to mark a section 13.5 inches, another 2 inches, and then the last section 4.5 inches. I put a needle through the 2 inch mark section and wrap it around my knot. I want it to be a bit tighter, so I secured it a little bit above my markings. The next section is the same as the knot portion of the closure. You should be getting deja vu, so just follow the same steps where you roll the 4.5 inch section and then make the petals with the 13.5 inch section. Hopefully you were able to make some beautiful flower closures. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.